Well, hello there, everyone. It's still Saturday, November the 12th, year 2022. I am back inside. It's just a couple minutes later from that first video. And I didn't say this first video, I forgot, but I now have internet service as of 2 days ago. So I got internet again. So I can upload my videos much quicker than before. Okay, so I'm going to continue on from the first video. Remember, I'll repeat myself. I'm Mazske Finance. Please click the thumbs up. Please subscribe. Please comment. And remember, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a CPA, I'm not an attorney, I'm just Mazske, sharing my humble opinion on a variety of different topics, primarily deal with investing, but I go on springboards, tangents, talking about other stuff at times, such as retiring to the country of Panama. All right, so moving on from that, the economics of someone like an American who wants to move to Panama. There are Americans who say they can never retire. There are Americans who say they will work till they die because they cannot afford to retire, okay? The majority of those Americans will never even look at Panama. But there are perhaps some of you out there. You're watching my channel, you're not like the majority of Americans, okay? The majority of Americans never think about investing, all right? So you're different. Maybe you might consider moving to Panama, all right? So economically, let's talk on that. I've talked a little bit about on the pros and cons. I got distracted because my neighbors came out and they're from a different culture. That's a much louder culture than my culture. And so they would be interrupting my video. So I stopped it and I'm back inside. So Panama has its pros and cons. It has this beautiful aspect of it. You have Bocas del Toro, beautiful island. You have Boquete, Chiriquí, Volcan, David, Santiago, Pedasi, Las Tablas, Chitre, Penrome, Coronado, Gorgona, San Carlos, Panama City, Arijan, all kinds of places, okay? Mountain communities, beach communities. If you want the beach, you got it. If you want to live on land, not in a mountain, just in a town, you got it. If you want to live on a farm, you got it. If you want to live in a gigantic city with millions of people, you got it, okay? If you want tropics, you got it. If you want heat, you got it. If you want high temperatures every day, mid 70s, upper 70s, nighttime temperatures 60s, you got that. If you want 95 in the daytime, 74 at nighttime, you got that, okay? It's a very diverse country. Within a couple hours, you can be in a totally different world, all right? So, economics, because this is what a lot of Americans might look at. It's much cheaper to live in Panama than the United States. There are Americans living on $1,500 a month, $1,800 a month, $2,000 a month, and they're living a decent life, okay? How are they doing that? You can find rentals all over the country. It varies from the location. If you want to live on the beach in a house like I live in here with a swimming pool, it's going to cost you more. But if you want to live, excuse me, sorry, I don't edit, so that's not going to be taken out. What you get is what you get. I'm real. All right. So, but you can rent houses, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-1s, 3-1s for $500, $650, $750, $850, $1,000. $1,000 might have a swimming pool and be on the water park, perhaps. You know, you can't do that here. Very few places can you do that. You can buy houses. I know of houses I could buy for $30,000, $50,000, $75,000, $100,000. They're all livable houses, okay? They are different than houses in the U.S. They are made different. You do have houses built to the American standards, shall we say, with American amenities in there, but the average Panamanian house is a little bit different. A lot of Panamanian houses don't have hot water. As Americans, we grew up with hot water. They grew up in hot weather. They're born without it. You know, why do you need it? Because it's hot. You know, you cool off in it when you take a shower. But most Americans, we like our hot water. Okay, you can get hot water heaters. You can heat the water. You can get air conditioning. A lot of Panamanians don't have air conditioning. You can get air conditioning. Okay, but the economics of it, everything is cheaper. All right, people, on your grocery bills are expensive. I don't know exactly how much cheaper, but you can eat probably for, I'll guess, the average person 50% cheaper than you do in the States. Just ballparking it. When I went to the grocery store in Panama back a couple months ago, I looked at my amount of groceries I got and I was like, man, if I was back home in Florida, I'd spend $150. And I spent maybe $30 or $40. Okay, it's a big difference. Utility bills are normally much cheaper. Your electric bill is normally much cheaper. Your water bill, your trash pickup is normally much cheaper. When I say much cheaper, there are people with electric bills $20 a month, $30 a month. You know, if you get air conditioning, you run it 24/7, it's going to be higher. If you run air conditioning, you have a pool and a pool pump, it's going to be higher, but still it's going to be cheaper than living in the States. Health insurance, medical care is cheaper. When I say cheaper, you can go to the doctor in many places. It could range from $2 to say $15 to $20 for the visit and the medication if you need medication. That's not the copay. That's just if you don't have insurance and you pay out of your pocket. If you want to get insurance, there's insurance that most people can get, Americans, that is something like, oh, let me think real quick. Your age plus 40, yeah, something like that. I'm 55, I get it for like $95 a year, something like that, okay? If you're at retirement age and you have Medicare, I'm not an expert on this, I'm not that old, I'm an early retiree, you can get Medicare, a supplement like Advantage or something like that. It's accepted in Panama from doctors and hospitals, okay? Everything's cheaper. It's just cheaper. You buy souvenirs, they're cheaper. You go sit in a restaurant. You can go to a fondue, whatever. A lunch, like a little diner, let's say, a local type diner, and $3, $4, $5. Drink and beverage. Food and beverage. You know, you get your lunch $3, $4, $5. Take a taxi. It's usually cheaper. You got transportation all over the country. People have cars, vehicles, SUVs, trucks. You have taxis everywhere. You have Uber everywhere, I think. Everywhere I've been, there's an Uber somewhere around. You have buses everywhere. Little buses, big tour buses, small, like 12 passenger buses. Much cheaper. You know, you could live a couple hours away from the city. Maybe you don't want to drive to the city. A lot of Americans don't like driving in Panama City because it's kind of crazy. I've driven in Panama City every time I've been there, and I kind of like it. I get used to it. I like it. I like beat my horn. I like it. I go, you know, first time there when it's been a number of years, I might, I gotta learn the streets again, but I like it. But it's just, there are Americans. I have a playlist, Interview with Others, and I have an interview with an American, Bob Chaplin. He was an American who was in that situation. Him and his wife said, I think they were living in North Carolina. They thought they could never retire from their job. They couldn't afford to retire from their job. They end up going to Panama. They loved the country. They ended up moving to Panama, leaving employment, moved to Panama, found a place called Pedasí. Pedasí is 5 or 6 hours from Panama City. It's on a peninsula, all the way down at the end of the peninsula. Beautiful beach type community, small area, small. It's not developed like Coronado is, but it's a beautiful beach. Small. Pedasí might have a population of 3,000, 4,000 people, and so it's a small town. And he ended up moving there, and he rented, found a piece of land in the town of Pedasí, found a contractor, got estimates, and built a house there. And he sent me pictures of his house, because him and I forget how we found each other. I found him, I forget how I found him. But then he built a house, and he stayed there, I forget what he told me, 2 or 3 years, maybe 3 years. And then his wife had a close family member who was ill health, and she wanted to go back to help take care of him. I think it was her brother. And they went to Oklahoma, and they sold the house in Pedasí. And I think he told me in the video, you can find the video, that if it was just him right now, he could go. He misses it. He could go back there. All right. He lives in Oklahoma. He misses it. All right. That's two people that were both mid-60s, I think. Never were in the military where they traveled outside the U.S. Never were world travelers, and they just decided to move to that country. All right. If you're an investor watching my channel, you're an adventurous type. You may consider something like this as a way to save money. You may consider it because you're tired of the snow and the ice wherever you live at. You may consider it because you're tired of politics or just the way society's been going, or you don't like the current president, or you're scared of who might come next, or whatever it might be. You don't like different things. You want to change. It's an option for you. It's just an option. All right. Always explore your options, because moving is a big deal. Moving to a new state is a big deal. Moving to a new country is a bigger deal. There's different challenges. You can, as an American, I'm not a legal expert, okay, don't take me as such, but as an American, if you have an American passport, you can fly to the country. You don't need a visa to fly there. You got your passport. You got to go through customs. You can stay, I believe, don't quote me on this, for 180 days, 6 months. Don't violate that. If you stay longer, you're in trouble. All right, it's different than the U.S. You're in trouble. Don't violate it. But you can go to Panama. Anybody can take a vacation in Panama. If you have guaranteed income, you have Social Security, you have a pension, a government pension, you can get the pensionado visa, which is easier to get if you qualify for it. And it qualifies you for discounts. I'll talk about that in a different video. It qualifies you for discounts. There's other visas you can get if you want to live in Panama. You can get an immigration visa, and you got to get an attorney involved, but attorneys are much cheaper. I don't know exactly what they charge, but they're much cheaper. Okay? So anyway, it's something to consider. If you're an investor, and maybe you're like me before I've discovered real estate, and I realized as I was getting in my late 40s that my stock investments, as well as they had done, were not going to be enough to allow me to change my lifestyle to have a nicer lifestyle. If I was to stop working completely, it might lower my standard of living because my pension wasn't enough. I didn't have that much income. The investments wouldn't have given me that much income. But then I found real estate. It increased my income. But if you're like I was before and you never got into investing in real estate, but you do have some kind of income coming in, Social Security, and you got that little adventurous spirit, Panama might be the place you want to go to. But be aware, watch my video I just did down on my dock. There's pros and cons. Realize there are cons along with the pros, and don't let those cons turn you off if you move there, because if you move there and you're not aware of them, and you get woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning from the rooster crowing or the neighbor's dog barking, you're walking on the sidewalk and you trip and you break your ankle, and you can't file a lawsuit because they're not going to accept it. I don't think. I'm not a legal expert. You know, if the next door neighbor has a loud party till 4 or 5 in the morning and you try to call the police, they're not going to do anything. All right, it's just noise. There's no code enforcement. They're not going to do anything. Okay, so as long as you realize that, you can be okay, because now you can better choose where you live at. You can look at your area around you to do your best to ensure, if you like tranquility, there is tranquility in that country. You can find it. If you want to be a partier, you can find that too. But if you want to be a partier and do illegal drugs and you go to Panama, you might end up in a Panama prison. All right? They're strict on stuff like that. So be careful. Be safe. Make wise decisions. No matter if you stay in this country, you leave this country, make wise decisions. All right. So that being said, 2 videos today. That's enough for today. So I missed a couple of days there. I got sidetracked with Tropical Storm Nicole, and then getting the internet back. And I went out and got lunch yesterday. It was Veterans Day. So I got sidetracked with some different things. So you take care, stay safe. Mazske signing out.